people. You are tuned in for another episode of Spilling the Ink. And today, V Marie's going to take you through a little story time, okay? So sit tight, grab your lace fronts, get a bag of popcorn. It's going to be a doozy. No, it's actually going to be exciting because it's about me. What I want to tell you guys today is simply how I went from pain to purpose. Because how can I expect you to know that I know what I'm talking about if I don't give you a little bit of who I am and how we got here, right? So let's get into it. So when it comes to V Marie, how was that birth? Okay, I got to stop eating the halls while I'm trying to teach people. That's not going to work. But I want my bloopers. So jar keep that, okay? So how did we get here? V Marie was something that was derived from a pain point, just like each and every one of your brands will be. And I bet you're wondering, like, V, how do you say I'm going to start a business from pain? Well, let me share my story as to how I got to this point with Spilling the Ink as V Marie. It started back in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That's where I was born and raised. Shout out to the Creole cockpit, okay? When it comes to how I grew up in Louisiana, though, that's the thing that really birthed who you see today. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, it's a hard knock life, to say the least. High poverty, high crime rate, so on and so forth, right? But with that, a lot of people suffer from a thing called hopelessness. A lot of people suffer from different forms of self-sabotage, and that tends to be our everyday example. We're really living in an existing format, but we're not living to really pursue or persevere. It's really to get by. So you might want to ask yourself, can you relate to that for a second? Are you a person that's trying to grow in entrepreneurship, but you feel held back? You feel like you're not worthy. You feel like growing may be a little bit too much for you because you're used to being caged in. And some of us, we never really look to the left and the right to see what our circle looks like, because sometimes it's the circle that becomes your cage. And that's what I had to realize. So by the time I reached the age of 18 years old, I said enough was enough of me seeing everything from the drug addicts to the drug dealers, everything from people speaking that I'll never be enough, I'll never amount to this, I can never grow and pursue that, that'll never work out, that person's not going to invest in you. Or you may just be that person in your family where you have a vision that no one else can understand. So they give you the alien mannequin pose stare. And it goes something like that. They just stare at you every time you're telling them your dreams and your goals and your vision, because they really don't even understand. You're talking over their head. I had to learn very young that I have to step out by faith alone, because obviously my surroundings, it always left the impression that I was misunderstood. So I gave a prayer when I was pursuing college at 18, coming out of high school. Shout out to Baton Rouge Magnet High. And I sat down with that paperwork. And one thing I can really be thankful for is the fact that my family raised me to be spiritual. So I always had this foundation of faith. Faith without works is dead. Faith, hope, and love. Press out on faith. Pursue your mission by faith. It's the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. All of these different sayings became mantras in a sense. So I lived by that, because when you come from an environment where sometimes that's the only thing that you have to grasp. Sometimes you won't have a loved one to bail you out. Sometimes you won't have a home-cooked meal. Sometimes you may just have to go to bed hungry. The only thing you have to chew on is that dream and is that faith. So I got to the point where I said, you know what? I'm just going to write to these schools. I'm going to pray over my paperwork, and whomever takes me in, I'm leaving. I didn't have a plan. I just knew as soon as someone accepted me, I have to go. I felt called higher than my environment. I felt like I was always a person that was different in a group of people. I always felt maybe I guess you could say alone, even when I was surrounded by people. So a lot of times that's an indicator of being a leader. especially when you look to see that you're not so good at being a rule follower either. I was the rebellious one. If they said walk to the right of the street, I always wanted to hopscotch a moonwalk to the left. That was always me. So it was indication that God called me to pursue something bigger than what I could see all of my life. So that's just a direct correlation to what faith is in the first place. You can't see faith. You just move and function by faith. So I came to Houston because the Art Institute of Houston accepted me first. Shout out to them. And sometimes, and this is a little pin I want you to put in when you're thinking about your life and leaving your legacy, sometimes we pray for things and then we expect God to just grant us the answer to what we pray for. But have you ever thought about the fact that maybe he answered the prayer a long time ago in the form of an opportunity? We don't look at how God functions full circle. So I want to expand your capacity on understanding how he functions today through my story. So going back to that, I wrote to the colleges and then boom, Art Institute of Houston says you're accepted. I came to Houston, no car, no friends, no family, hell, no money, but what my dad handed me. All I had was faith, vision, and a prayer. So when that school accepted me, I learned how to navigate the metro. So shout out to the 52 and the 83, I think was what I would catch every single day to school. And I was in pursuit of something bigger than myself. So again, sometimes we pray for God to change circumstances or increase us in some way in life when really the opportunity is what grants you the blessing. So I came out here I came to Houston in 2007 and I've been here ever since. And it started with me diligently going door to door. It started with me passing out business cards at Starbucks. It started with a lot of front face customer relations and building network and getting the word out there. And this was during the time when Creative Suite was still on a CD-ROM, okay? This is when we still had people on dial-up internet service. This is what we're talking about. Saying all that to say, we didn't have the advancements of Instagram and TikTok back when I first started building the identity, building the company. So it took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of footwork and it took a lot of thinking. So I wanted to share that aspect because some of us, unfortunately, we are still operating, expecting God to bless us to this abundant level. But mindset-wise, we're slaves. Yes, I said it. If you can't say amen, say ouch. It just is what it is. He's trying to get us to shift our mindset so he can grant us the desires of our heart. So in other words, you have to choose to stop living as the slave and live as the steward. Because a lot of times the blessing comes through the opportunity. I had an opportunity to get away from the streets of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I couldn't let fear face off. I had to apply faith to my fear so that I could come out here as an 18-year-old, young, impressionable woman with no friends, no car, and no family to pursue a dream based on something I've never seen before. Okay? So that's really when you zone in and know that there's something about you that separates you from the crowd to be diligent enough to pursue something you don't even have a blueprint to. You don't have an outline to it. It takes courage. It takes courage. And how we build our courage is simply going after something that is bigger than our fear. So I hope everybody takes that message. That was a whole bar, okay? So let's move on. So I get my degree, right? In digital communications, technical communications, graphic design, multimedia, all of that is my background. And then now it's like, what's next? Okay, where do we go from here? Because some people think, especially when you're 18, you're like, oh, I'm going to school. I'm going to be successful. It's going to be amazing. Do you know how many people have degrees that are flipping burgers, that are taking your shopping cart from the parking lot into the Walmart? Do you know? Do you know? Saying all that to say, it doesn't matter about the paper. A degree, yes, it shows you put in hard work. Congratulations. What does matter is your integrity and your commitment to consistency. Someone that is eager to keep the drive, to keep that initial why at their heart, to keep the fire burning in you, to say, I have a mission to pursue my purpose that God intended for my life. That's much more important. And when you apply stewardship to being clear on your purpose, it opens doors that no degree could. And that's just the honest truth. At least it's my personal perspective, okay? Take what you want from that. But I got the degree, so then it was time to do the hard work. It was time to get the clients, right? And in the meantime of building clients for my business, I also carried 9-to-5s here and there. So I've developed for oil and gas industry. I've developed for major corporations when it came to graphic design. But one thing I did not really love about being in the corporate space, one, I told y'all I don't like following rules, okay? So telling me when to eat and when to clock in and all that jazz, your girl get a little tired after a certain amount of time. Bless the Lord. But besides that, it was really giving someone the ability or the power over me to tell me how much my hourly wage should be. Basically telling me what my time is worth, what my value is marked by your dollar, your opinion. And not only that, having the power and control over if I stay employed or not. See, when I started losing job, then getting furloughed, I noticed that I did not have control over my life fully. Because if I tried to plan to move into a new home or get a new vehicle or invest in a certain area in life, you have the power, corporation, to snatch that up anytime you want. So I would definitely encourage anyone, even if you're not interested in becoming an entrepreneur, at least have some type of operation or function or hand in it, to where if something falls short with the full-time or the part-time job, then you have something to fall back on. And especially how economy is panning out, we need several streams of income to really survive and to really leave legacy or to build wealth. So when you think about all of that, at the time of me getting into building my brand, I had to figure out what was attracting people. I had to be able to understand how to position myself, hence going to the Starbucks with the business cards back in the day. Because why would I pick Starbucks? Most people that drink Starbucks coffee are business professionals. And if I know that that is my target audience, then that's just one example of many as to how to position your business to be discovered in a smart way. I didn't want to waste my time. So I started collecting cards, started building relationships, networking in Houston, and I got my first couple of clients while I worked in the full-time space of graphic design for the corporate world. So let's fast forward to when COVID-19 hit. And when COVID hit, that was a big pivotal point for me and my business. So I'm about to give you the example of how you have to be careful with what you pray for. I used to sit at that corporate company and complain all day about how I can't wait to get out of that corporate company. I didn't even understand manifestation at that time. But what I realized is from me focusing on leaving, me speaking leaving, me even taking a box out of the closet of the office building and placing it in the corner of my office saying, one day I'm going to fill that box and I'm out of here. Well, God answered my prayer. It was just unexpected. It was called COVID-19. So when they furloughed our department, I was one to go. So I want to ask you, what do you do when your prayer is answered in a way you didn't expect? What do you do when God answers what you've been manifesting for so long through a tragedy or through devastation? So instead of me freaking out, I tried to zone in. The main thing you do is find something to be grateful for in the moment of tragedy. How is it helping me? And what it did was it put me in a situation as a single mom of a young little boy with autism. I had to make a decision. I had to figure out, how am I going to sustain my household with no income? So that was a back against the wall situation. God kicked up the dust in my life literally and made me think again. going from slave mindset to stewardship, because sometimes your prayer is answered through an opportunity. And sometimes that opportunity comes through tragedy. So when I lost the job, it put me into think tank mode. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm tired of going in. I'm tired of putting in resumes. I'm tired of interviews, and I'm tired of people having control, power. It felt like ownership at that point. Again, going back to slave mindset. They're telling you when to come, clock in, sit down, wake up, go to sleep. You got to get enough sleep to get there on time. When do you eat? All these different things. They have a problem when you take PTO. It's just crazy. So I got to the point where I started looking at, if I do take a job, it's going to become a silent investor to my business. Okay. It's not going to be the main focus ever, because I've got to be the one in control of my destiny. So when it came to getting back to the think tank mode that tragedy put me in, I said, I need coaching. And the funny thing is, the coaching came indirectly through someone that was a resource. Shout out to my god brother, Ivan. Ivan introduced me to my first 6-figure marketing coach. And when you're coached by the right people, they not only extend their resources, but when they see you are eager to learn, and when they see that you are committed to consistency when it comes to growing and development, you'd be surprised the people that are available to take you under their wing. And that's exactly what he did. So he showed me the ropes of monetizing social media. And he also opened a channel of resources where within the first 6 months of mentorship, I was speaking on stages with 7-figure earners. Shout out to Ash Cash. And when it comes to the mindset, it really blew me away how commitment, consistency, the confidence, the faith, all of it made the gumbo in my life that's been feeding my customers, clients from here on out. And not only that, mind you, when I decided to commit and zone in and get the proper coaching and learn how money really is supposed to work, because some of you probably are just like I was, you're operating your homes, your households in a mindset that was passed down by other dogmas that were taught to you by grandma, grandpa, your aunts, your uncles, your mother and father. But the only problem with that is not that it's not good that you've been taught a certain way. It's just that some information is dated, or sometimes we were operating under the wrong concept. We were always told to go to school, be a doctor, be a lawyer. When you make money, save money, grow your family, get married, and then you retire and die. And then we find out that's not real living at all. If you really want to be stressed out, that's why the poor men are losing their hair and the women losing their edges, because we are going under this impression that that's just life structure, when really it's up to you to choose. And all you have to do is diligently seek God so he can carve out the uniqueness in you. We all got purpose some type of way, but we got to carve out how we're going to drive forward to actually get to the purpose, to get to the finish line, right? So you got to diligently seek him. And when it came to that, I was sitting and I'm just like, okay, what am I going to do? I got the coach. I've gotten to the stage. I've gotten this. I've got that. And I just started building and building. And the beautiful thing that I learned through being committed to creating the content and being committed to really digging deep and honing into my skill set, I realized that the audience will tell you what their needs are. So even when you don't have it figured out, just the commitment to your consistency to grow, you will start paving out an identity for your brand that never existed. You'll be surprised of what you curate and come up with based on a person's problem or pain point, or based on when they said shout out or gave the fire signs or gave you the amen in that live or on that piece of content, or when they reshared your story. So going in back to brand development, how are you telling your story today to your audience in order for them to commit to you so much that they want to share your story in their story? How committed are you today to really identifying clearly who you are, what problem you solve, how you solve it, and who you solve it for? And do you really have clarity there yet? Because that also takes some finessing. That also takes some curating. It also takes some niching down. But that all comes from the root of discovering you first, because only you know your story. Only you know the pain points that you've been through. Only you know how you overcame it. And only you know the direction to take the people to do it just like you did. Because typically when we're in entrepreneurship, we have to understand that it's solely about serving people and their problems. And the easiest thing to monetize when it comes to serving people and their problems, you dig so deep into understanding yourself, you find yourself in your prospect. You find yourself in that customer you've been looking to help. So I encourage anyone, if you are destined for greatness through entrepreneurship, it starts with you. It starts with you being clear on you and what you represent. And then you just talk to that audience like you wish you had someone to talk to you when you were going through what you've made it out of. You package that thing and you put a price tag on it. And that's how it works when it comes to creating a space for yourself where your commitment is easier because you've dedicated to healing a pain point that you once experienced. So on my journey, what gave me clarity is me seeking self-development. So I've gone through coaches. I've gone through inner child healing challenges. I've gone through juicing challenges. I've done fasts with prayer and meditation. And I've come to these conclusions as I dug, and I got more revelation as to who I am, what my gifts are, what people are attracted to in me. I learned that I serve people, the broken believers in business, the entrepreneurs that's been through so much misery and they haven't been able to realize or discover what the purpose behind that misery was to turn it into their ministry. I help people understand their pain points so we can convert pain to profit. And the reason I care so much to where I can't quit on people when it gets overwhelming. I can't quit on people when they stress me out. I just don't understand it. Even with strangers, I will help anyone in the stores, in the office places. Hell, Joe, I can tell you here, I can't help but talk to everybody when I come in here just to record, because it is who I am. That's just who I am. So I challenge you to tap into who you are, because usually that's your unique value proposition. That's the thing that people need from you. The energy I give is what draws people to me. My willingness to help is what draws people to me. But the reason I care so much is what matters. And I had to discover that through digging into myself. And it always stems back to your childhood. The reason I care is because I wish my family could have seen the greatness in themselves to become their best selves. And because I feel like they didn't achieve that, it is my job to make sure each person that I encounter reach that full potential. So now that I'm old enough to give back, I'm helping my family and I want to help you too. So that's it for me on this one, giving you a little insight on who I am and how I converted my pain into purpose and made that purpose pay me back. Okay, so you just got to make sure you stay tuned for the next one when I start breaking down awareness and authority. Okay, that's going to be on the next one. It is your girl, V. Marie, and love and light to each and every one of you guys. I'll see you next time. Make sure you tap the bell, subscribe, share it out, save it, do all the things that make you great, because spilling the ink is leaving stains on your brain forever. I'm out.